Yeah, we'll open the meeting. Thank you all for attending. Before we begin, I would like to state that the Planning Commission hearing and meetings are open to the public in person and via Microsoft Teams StreamYard application. Note that all meetings or hearing information can be found in the Town of Monument website. Planning Commission's role is to conduct public hearings and to make recommendations for the Board of Trustees about land use matters in the Town of Monument, and each commissioner agrees to a non-partial, objective, and fair review. This includes no prejudgment of the projects. Should a commissioner wish to disqualify himself or herself for any conflicts of personal or financial interest in this matter before us tonight, please say so. Hearing none. Additionally, for those who are attending tonight's public hearing meeting via Microsoft Teams, if you wish to speak during a public portion, please ensure that you utilize the option to raise your hand and have your computer microphone ready to turn on. You can speak directly to the commission so that your concerns are heard, and to ensure a timely and fair hearing, we ask that if multiple people have the same comment, only one person speak on that subject. Thank you, and this concludes the introduction. We will begin with the first item on the agenda tonight. Roll call.
Chairperson Wilhelmi is noted absent. Vice Chairperson Trujillo is noted absent. Commissioner Hours,
Here.
Commissioner Light is noted absent. Commissioner Green,
Here.
Commissioner Zernikow is noted absent. Commissioner Egley,
Here.
Alternate Commissioner Peck is noted absent. Alternate Commissioner Collins,
Here.
To the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. At this time, I appoint Commissioner Collins as a regular member, a voting member. Have a request for previous approval of the previous Planning Commission meeting minutes.
I'll move to approve. I'll second the motion.
Have a motion and a second.
Chairperson Hours,
Yes.
Commissioner Green,
Yes.
Commissioner Egley,
Yes.
Commissioner Collins.
Yes.
Motion passes 4-0.
Okay, tonight we have 3 hearings. First hearing, preliminary final plat for Home Place Ranch, filing number 6, located on the southeast corner of Sanctuary Rim Drive and Glen Eagle Drive, Monument, Colorado. Public hearing is open.
Okay, I've called up the presentation on the screen before you. This is Sean Snow speaking. Planning Commission will be reviewing preliminary final plat for Home Place Ranch Filing 6. This is up for continuance. I'll explain why. As mentioned, this site is near Sanctuary Rim Drive. The applicant is proposing A plat for 5.34 acres within the approved Home Place Ranch Phase 1 preliminary final PD. Home Place Ranch filing number 6 includes a new street called Gammon Court and access from Sanctuary Rim Drive, 10 single-family lots, and 2 utility open space tracts. Home Place Ranch Phase 1 preliminary final PD site plan was conditionally approved by the Board of Trustees on September 16, 2019 as ordinance number 28-2019. Staff recommendation, staff recommends continuance of the hearing for the Home Place Ranch filing number 6 preliminary final plat based on the findings that all the public notice requirement as outlined in the Town of Monuments Land Development Code were not met. Public notice was published, but not mailed or posted. This is the motion for that recommendation, and see if you have questions.
Do I hear a motion?
Do you need to open this for public comment before we have a motion?
Not at this point.
No?
No.
Okay. I move that the planning commission recommend approval of the RMG. No, that's the wrong one. Sorry, I've got to get the right motion. Oh, I move that the planning commission continue the public hearing for Home Place Ranch filing number 6 preliminary final plat to the January 11th, 2023 Planning Commission meeting.
This is Commissioner Egley. I second the motion.
Motion is second. Roll.
Chairperson Hours,
Yes.
Commissioner Green,
Yes.
Commissioner Egley,
Yes.
Commissioner Collins.
Yes.
Motion passes 4-0.
Beacon Lake Road Monument. There's 2 motions involved with this tonight. If staff.
Okay, again, Sean Snow speaking. I'll be presenting, as you see on your screen, RMG Beacon Light annexation, as well as RMG Beacon Light proposed zoning. Site location, west of I-25, Interstate 25, address as 19375 Beacon Light Road. This parcel is at the northern tip of the present boundaries of the Town of Monument. Beacon Light LLC has submitted an application seeking approval to annex approximately 5 acres into the Town of Monument. The annexation request, known as the RMG Beacon Light annexation, is accompanied by an annexation agreement that defines the terms of the annexation. To comply with state annexation requirements, this proposal will not extend boundaries of the city limits of the Town of Monument more than 3 miles in any direction from the present municipal boundary. The annexation of the territory meets the requirements of and fully complies with the applicable requirements of the Annexation Act section and Section 30 of Article 2 of the Colorado Constitution. The annexation contemplates the land conforming to the land use category of light industrial that appears on the Town of Monument's future land use designation map in an area that is part of the town's annexation growth area plan. No roadway improvements are required for the development. All drainage facilities will be designed in conformance with the town's rules and regulations. Domestic water supply will be provided by the Town of Monument and sanitary sewer service by Monument Sanitation. All fees in lieu of park dedication will be due prior to the annexation plat being recorded. Go through with the Planning Commission and in relation to annexations. Annexations are conducted in accordance with state statutes. The Town Council will conduct a hearing to establish that the area is eligible for annexation and set a hearing date in January 2023 to further consider the annexation and the annexation agreement. The applicant is collaborating with town staff on the annexation agreement to ensure the success of the annexation with no adverse impacts on the town. An annexation impact report is not required for the property since it is less than 10 acres in size. The Planning Commission is required to provide a review and recommendation on annexation applications to the Town of Monument per the Planning Commission bylaws. Section 2 regarding annexation. Planning Commission shall review all proposed annexations to the Town of Monument and make recommendations to the Town Council as to whether or not the annexation complies with the comprehensive plan and whether the annexation generally is in the best interests of the Town of Monument. According to the theme set forth in the comprehensive plan, the town will responsibly consider all petitions for annexation of lands within the urban growth area and will not decline annexation of a property except for good cause. The comprehensive plan also outlines how annexation of lands beyond the present town boundaries can benefit Monument. In addition, the RMG Beacon Light property must be zoned as part of the conditions of annexation into the Town of Monument. The Monument Land Development Code, Section 18.03.130 states, zoning annexed land. Annexation of land into the town is governed by the procedures in Colorado Constitution, Article 2, Section 30, and Colorado Revised Statute 31-12-101. All annexed land shall be zoned within 90 days of annexation following the procedure for rezoning at Section 18.03.140. Zoning of property proposed for annexation may be processed simultaneously with the petition for annexation, provided no ordinance zoning such property may be finally adopted prior to final adoption of an ordinance or ordinances annexing such property. Part D of Section 18.03.140 outlines 8 considerations that the Planning Commission and Town Council may use when analyzing rezoning applications. I've highlighted 2 here. The compatibility of the rezoning proposal with the surrounding zone districts and land uses in the vicinity of site of the rezoning, including the characteristics of the existing neighborhood, the applicable area and bulk requirements, and the suitability of the site for development in terms of on-site characteristics. And also that the proposed rezoning is in conformance or will bring the property into conformance with the comprehensive plan goals, objectives, and policies, and other related policies or plans for the area. Colorado's annexation statutes also require there be a community of interest between the property's planned use and the town. Contiguity can suffice for this to exist, but also the future residents can be expected to shop, work, socialize, and recreate within the town. Monument's annexation plan, growth area plan, which is the map that you're viewing here on the screen, adopted in February 2017 as part of the town comprehensive plan, envisions annexing this area of El Paso County. In addition, the passage of Resolution 22-2022, a resolution adopting the Town of Monument 3-mile plan for 2022, aligns with the current proposed annexation. El Paso County has the area currently zoned as commercial community. By annexing these areas into town limits, Monument will have more control and decision-making authority over what development occurs and will ensure that it complies with the Monument Land Development Code. In addition, this annexation will continue to bring properties along Beacon Light Road into the town's boundaries up to the Douglas County line. Staff received 1 letter from neighbors regarding this annexation. The letter has been provided to the applicant and to the Planning Commission. The letter states that the neighbors to the south are not in opposition. The neighbors wanted to go on record, however, that they would like some consideration at the time of any future development or site modifications. Proposed zoning. The future land use map from the comprehensive plan envisions this area as light industrial, which is the intent of the applicant. Light industrial zoning matches the uses that are already within town limits to the south of this parcel. Types of land use in an LI zone include contractor shops, equipment sales, freight yards, light manufacturing, warehouses, and self-storage, outdoor storage, and offices, etc. Staff review criteria. Staff has reviewed the subject application and analyzed the applicable criteria and statutes. Based on this analysis, staff concludes that the proposed project is consistent with all applicable requirements and adequately addresses all criteria. Staff used the Monument Development Code sections 18.01.130 and 18.01.140, which covers jurisdiction and purpose as related to the comprehensive plan, Regarding the proposed zoning of light industrial, staff used the Monument Land Development Code sections 18.03.130 regarding zoning annexed land and 18.03.140 sections A through E regarding rezoning. In addition, staff relied on the Town of Monument's future land use designation map from the comprehensive plan, as well as confirming that these parcels are part of the town's annexation growth area plan. I won't read through all of this, but these are the applicable sections from the code that I just referenced, section 18.01.140, and also 18.03.140, part D, and specifically. Part 6 of that states that the proposed rezoning is in conformance or will bring the property into conformance with the comp plan, and that's something I had mentioned earlier in this presentation. This annexation or annexations in relation to Planning Commission review covered these two present recommendations, both for the annexation and for zoning. Staff recommends approval of the RMG Beacon Light annexation for approximately 5 acres based on the findings that the proposed development complies with the comprehensive plan and is generally in the best interests of the Town of Monument. Regarding the zoning, staff recommends approval of the RMG Beacon Light proposed zoning for approximately 5 acres based on the findings that the proposed development complies with the comprehensive plan and is in conformance with the town's land development code. These slides show the different motions that are available to the Planning Commission. These are the motions for annexation. These are the motions for zoning. And we will end here with questions.
The applicant present.
The applicant is present, yes.
The applicant present.
Further comments?
This time I'll open the public comments. I'd like to find anybody that wants to speak that. Yeah. I'd like to remind anyone that if you have comments to make, if you would avoid repeating any comments that another person made, would be appreciated, and that you direct all the comments to the commission. Do we have anyone in the audience that would like to make comments? Do we have any hands online?
Chairman, at this time, I have no hands.
Okay. At this point, I am going to read this comment that was given to me. I have a comment from a Miss Sandra Smith. She says, annexation and zoning of 19375 Beacon Light Road. Would like the following concerns to be noted that would pertain to the development. Since our residence is directly to the south of the property, would like consideration for the following. Adding or extending the property fence that we have already in place, and could building be kept to 1 story? Access cuts off Beacon Light Road. How close will any access be to our existing driveway? That drainage study be performed, and would like to be able to move the trees that we were allowed to plant on the edge of the property in the southwest corner. End of comments. That can be placed in the record. I'll close public comments at this point, and I will ask the commissioners if you have any questions or comments.
I guess my question is, do we consider both motions at the same time, or should we consider them separately? What's appropriate?
Consider them separately. They have 2 separate findings.
Okay. Additionally, I guess I have one other question then. If we approve the annexation, and then we approve the zoning at light industrial, does this applicant come back before us before any future development takes place on that property?
No, the property is already platted, so you wouldn't, unless they were going to replat it, you would not be a part of that. And because it's a straight zoning of LI, it would follow the site plan process, which is administrative.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
I cannot place where this woman's house is directly to the south. I don't think
It's
they're,
the residence that is associated with the storage units.
oh, so, okay. Okay.
And I did speak with them on the phone. They are not opposed to the zoning. They just, at the time of development or redevelopment, they would just like to have those things taken into consideration.
Any other questions? Okay, having no other questions, I would ask for a motion on the annexation.
Collins moves that the planning commission recommend approval of the RMG Beacon Light annexation for approximately 5 acres, finding it complies with the comprehensive plan and that the annexation of said property is generally in the best interest of the town of Monument.
This is Commissioner Egley. I second the motion.
Motion and second, roll call.
Chairperson Hours,
Yes.
Commissioner Green,
Yes.
Commissioner Egley,
Yes.
Commissioner Collins.
Yes.
Motion passes 4-0.
Okay, any questions on the zoning? Commissioner Hours, I have one question. It indicates that the building has drilling. Could someone speak to the drilling of the building?
The use currently on the property right now.
No, that would be added.
Good evening, Commissioners. Keith Moore, RMG Architect. The drilling indicated on the plan is we have drill rigs as part of the business for RMG, so there's no drilling on the site. It's our drill rigs that drill off-site. So we
Oh, you're
labeled the one of the potential new facilities as our drill building, so we'll have a maintenance building for.
so it's equipment building. It's not, okay, that's.
Yeah.
I just wanted to get
Nope.
clarified what that was. Thank you very much.
You're welcome, sir.
Any other questions? Hearing no other questions, I'll ask for a motion on the.
This is Commissioner Egley, and I move that the planning commission recommend approval of the light industrial zone district for the RMG Beacon Light proposed annexation of approximately 5 acres, finding it complies with the comprehensive plan and the town's down development code sections 18.03.130 and 18.03.140 AE.
Collins seconds.
Motion and second, roll call.
Chairperson Hours,
Yes.
Commissioner Green,
Yes.
Commissioner Egley,
Yes.
Commissioner Collins.
Yes.
Motion passes 4-0.
Our final hearing tonight is the final plan unit development for KFC, legally described as Lot 3, Monument Marketplace, North Filing 1, and located at 16385 Cinematic View, Monument, Colorado.
Okay, up on your screen. This is Sean Snow again. Presenting on Lot 3 Monument Marketplace North Final PUD. The site map here along Jackson Creek Parkway, south of Harness Road. The subject property was platted as part of the Monument Marketplace filing number 16 final plat, which was approved by the town on November 19th, 2007. The subsequent Monument Marketplace North preliminary PD site plan proposed 30 types of permitted uses, including restaurants, lounges, and fast food establishments. The preliminary PD site plan was approved on July 1st, 2019. The applicant will be required to receive site plan approval as part of the future construction document submittals. The site plan will need to demonstrate compliance with all aspects of this PUD as well as the Town of Monuments Municipal Code. Final drainage report for the KFC Quick Service Restaurant was submitted to the town on August 15th, 2022. Water and sewer service have been secured through the Triview Metropolitan District. The land around this new development is primarily vacant except for an electrical substation located across Jackson Creek Parkway to the east. Site access related to Lot 3 Monument Marketplace North. There is no direct access to Jackson Creek Parkway from this lot. Instead, access is available off Harness Road and an interior private access road on the west side of the property known as Cinematic View. Cinematic View connects to another private road to the south that connects to Jackson Creek Parkway. Final PUD traffic study. Traffic impact compliance memo dated November 7th, 2022 by LSC Transportation Consultants identifies that the proposed use is projected to generate approximately 1,142 vehicle trips on the average weekday, distributed with roughly half entering and half exiting during a 24-hour period. The memo further indicates that traffic signal warrants at the intersection of Harness Road and Jackson Creek Parkway are not met based on a preliminary analysis of the short-term peak hour volumes and recommends traffic count monitoring to assess future traffic signal warrants. Go through a bit of the comprehensive plan. The map on the right shows the comprehensive plan with the arrow pointing to the location where this restaurant would be located. The Lot 3 Monument Marketplace North Final PUD complies with the town's comprehensive plan because it is within an area designated as mixed use, which is shown on the future land use map. Pertinent opportunities and policies from this plan include policy LU-3, allow for a wider array of land use types to meet changing community needs. This fast food restaurant will help meet the changing needs of this community and residential development in nearby areas. It will be easily accessible from Harness Road via Jackson Creek Parkway. Policy LU-5, promote infill development on vacant land with attention to the vacant or underutilized land in and around the downtown core. The Monument Marketplace area will provide additional infill development of currently underutilized land and monument. And finally, policy TR-9, protect adjacent residential areas from adverse noise, glare, and the visual impacts of parking and loading related to non-residential development. When analyzing this, we found that this site is not adjacent to any existing residential areas. The existing and proposed residential to the east is separated by Jackson Creek Parkway and open space tract and landscaping. Staff recommendation, staff has reviewed the subject application and analyzed the applicable criteria from section 18.03.460 of the Town of Monuments Land Development Code and the comprehensive plan. Based on staff's analysis, the proposed project is consistent with all applicable development standards and adequately addresses all criteria. Staff recommends approval of the Lot 3 Monument Marketplace North Final PUD based on the findings that the proposed final PUD plan is in conformance with the review and approval criteria as outlined in the Town of Monuments Land Development Code. This slide outlines the entitlement process that essentially showcases the dates that I referenced earlier when previous PD plans, et cetera, were approved. And then these slides, which I will not read them in their entirety, but this covers the applicable sections of the code related that we use to review the present proposal. That includes section 18.03.460. This slide gives the potential motions for this present application. We do have the applicant here this evening, and the applicant does have a small presentation as well.
Okay, thank you, staff. Applicant.
Good evening. Excuse me. Good evening, Commission. My name is Matthias Albert, the civil engineer for the project here on behalf of the applicant and the landowner. basically, we just got a couple slides. It's nothing fancy. You'll have to forgive me for that, but appreciate the staff report on that and the work they put into that. Essentially, it was zoned for the PUD a couple years ago. Really, this KFC development is coming in compliance with a large portion of that and the comprehensive plan along with it. The landowner, is the applicant. So we're not anticipating any long closing processes or anything getting lost in the actual land acquisition that's already been established. It's currently vacant land. And really the project schedule is as soon as we can get through, permitting processes, it'll be under construction pretty quickly. So this is a store that will open next year as all goes according to plan. Just for your sake, they're expecting to do hopefully $2.5 million in sales here annually. So I expect this to be a good location for KFC. This is just a vicinity map here, just showing where it's at again, kind of bordered between that cinematic view, which is a private drive, and Jackson Creek Parkway. They're just south of Harness Road. So essentially it's, a portion of a largely vacant land. There's a substation across the street. And really hoping that this development helps cater some of that development in that area that's already zoned in the same PUD, really bridge that gap in development from that car wash on the south side, which is right at the edge of the screen, up to the project area and all the way up to Harness Road. I know there's some residential that's planned there just to the west of that as well. So hopefully this will filter out and this will be kind of a trigger to help initiate some of that development. We do have a slide. This is just a site plan. Again, it's just under an acre lot, about a 2,700 square foot restaurant, 30 seats, 23 parking spaces, 8 stacking spaces as defined by the town code. There's really 13 car queue from the window all the way through the drive-through, but I know that the town code defines that as really from the order station to the end of the drive-through. So that's that. There's sidewalk that's being proposed along Jackson Creek Parkway as well. No direct access to Jackson Creek Parkway here, but there is access from that cinematic view. There is cross access to both parcels on the north and south side too. So again, as development occurs out here, there's potential that it could have connection out to Jackson Creek Parkway if should have one of the other parcels, pursue that access. Essentially, it'll act kind of the Home Depot just south of this location where there's some retail and restaurants along Jackson Creek Parkway, but they also funnel back to a rear private drive. Again, this is largely in part with the PUD plan that was approved a couple of years ago. No real variances that are being requested there. We do have just a quick slide here, or 2 slides, just on some of the elevations, just for perspective here. A little bit different than the prototypical KFC. This has a lot more neutral and earth tone elements that I think the town is looking for in the standards here. So you'll see this looks maybe a little bit different than what you might see on a TV commercial or in other jurisdictions. So credit to you guys for understanding what you guys are after and setting those standards. It'll be a mix of masonry, hardy plank board, some metal and some glass as well, is kind of what this building will look like. The next slide is just additional elevations there. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions you guys might have. But that's what we've got prepared for you here this evening. Sure thing. Sure thing. Thank you.
Okay, at this point, I'll open the public comments. Again, I'd remind anyone that might want to speak not to repeat any previous comments by any person that commented and direct all comments to the commission. Do we have anybody present that wants to speak? Do we have anybody online raising their hand?
Mr. Chairman, at this time, I have no hands.
Okay, at this time, I'll close public comments and I will open it to the commission for question.
I had one question for the applicant regarding I recognize that this development is in its infancy and the development of the roads are pretty sparse, but you mentioned that there's a couple of private roads or private drives that'll be utilized for the traffic. I'm just wondering if there's any concern that who owns the private roads and are they going to cut off access at some point to movement south away from the restaurant?
Yeah, so the short answer is I believe the properties actually go to the center line of that private road. So it's an accumulation of ownership, I guess, over that road, but there are easements in place to protect that in order to just cut that access off, they would have to get all those property owners to agree to that, essentially, with that easement in place. So I'm not sure. I think there's a private agreement as terms into the maintenance and who maintains that road. Probably if it's a HOA or a POA or something like that, that would oversee the maintenance of that road. But there are several ownerships involved that are all protected by an access easement to protect that private drive.
Thank you.
Could we pull up the slide that shows the facility and the access? And leave it up for a few minutes.
Are you talking about this one or?
Yes, yes. No, this one here.
Yeah, so if you look at that slide, you see just to the right-hand side of cinematic view there, there's a dark bold line. That's the property line, so you can see it extends into the actual private road. So that's what I was referencing there. And I'm not sure if it's easy to see here, but there's probably a label. I think it's a 40-foot easement that would protect that access as well, if that's legible in this plan or not. And that cinematic view, that extends all the way south of the car wash, and then it connects back into Jackson Creek Parkway at that point.
Any other questions?
Thank you. Sure.
You at any point, KFC look branding the other service? That would be more of a question from.
Yeah, this is the franchisee and the landowner who can.
Franchisee. We don't have any intention of co-branding, and actually KFC,
Can you state your name and affiliation?
Kelly Marler. KFC's kind of stopped the whole co-branding stuff. There's some of them still out there, but they're just part of existing contracts. And so they're not doing any of that stuff going forward. It'll just be a KFC.
I have one other question. Of course, this is a year down the road, but it won't be coming back to this commission. So the question I'd ask, anytime you get a new facility like this, people like to rush down for the first few days. Have you given consideration, or has the town given consideration that if we'd have any traffic issues down there for managing any traffic issues that might occur the first few days, which I'm sure you would like to see that happen?
I would very much like to see that happen. We always get and work with any town that we're going into, and we'll do whatever's required of us. If they want us to have traffic control out there, we will. We'll do whatever we're told to do. So that's just.
Okay, then staff would communicate with you on that matter when we get to that, closer to that point then.
Right.
But- Thank you. Thank you. Any other comments or questions? Hearing none, thank you all very much. I'd ask for
I move that the Planning Commission recommend approval of Lot 3 Monument Marketplace North Final PUD based on the findings that the proposed final PUD is in conformance with the review and approval criteria as outlined in the Town of Monuments Land Development Code, Section 1803460.
Collins seconds.
motion second, roll call.
Chairperson Hours,
Yes.
Commissioner Green,
Yes.
Commissioner Egley,
Yes.
Commissioner Collins.
Yes.
Motion passes 4-0.
At this point, I'll ask for any non-agenda items for land development only. Anybody in the public have any comments? Hearing none, I will close those comments. Reports and communications and announcements. Commissioners have any reports or communications? Announcements? Staff?
2 items. As you know, I'm a staff of 1 right now. I'm trying to become a staff of 3. I did make some offers on Monday. We did have our planner 1/planning permitting tech accept today. So I have 1. We're going to be working on getting a start date for that one. Planner 2 has asked for a little more time, so I'm hoping that one will come in as well, but just very excited to finally have some warm bodies in. Also wanted to give you an update on the Monument Ridge East and West annexation. As you probably know, the petitioners withdrew both sides. They are planning to go back with the county. We did reach out to them, or I did, to see if they would be willing to come back in and have some more conversations. I have not heard anything and it's been a week. So we'll continue to reach out or talk to them as if they're willing, but as of right now, I believe they're going to the county. I'm sorry? Yes.
No, that's unfortunate, but hopefully they'll reconsider. And play hardball with us for a little while and then reconsider. Okay, with no other reports or announcements, I shall adjourn the meeting after I say Merry Christmas to one and all.
Yeah, I did pretty well, didn't I? One of our shorter. Yeah. It's here.